Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. I'm still alive. Today is Wednesday, the 3rd of September. So, what's today's video going to be on? And that is training your customers how to treat you. I know. Doesn't make any sense, does it? And then I thought I'd fill you in on the latest of what took place yesterday. So, stay tuned. Alrighty, welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric, if you didn't already know it, and this is the weekday, Monday through Friday. Today is Wednesday, the 3rd of September, 2025. So, I think that's true in all of life. You have to teach people around you how to treat you, because if you don't, then you're going to feel like people are treading on you, trotting on you, however you want to pronounce it. You have to set boundaries, and then if those boundaries are pushed, you got to push back. Doesn't mean it has to be a knockdown drag out, but it doesn't mean that you have to sit there and take it either. And this is very true when it comes to customers. Because if you allow a customer to come in and berate you and do nothing, then there's a problem. Well, let me just take it a step farther. I've had this happen before. I've had customers come in and just go off and not say anything, just sit there and decide, A, I'm not going to join in by raising the octave level of mine up to his. Let him get it off his chest or her chest. I'll listen to him. But when they get done, they better be willing to listen to me. And that is, I heard you. This is unacceptable. And if you don't like it, take the work somewhere else. And I have had to do this a couple times where I've had to ask a customer to leave the property. Yeah. And I actually ate the bill. I told Claude, load it right onto their trailer. And but he's like, well, we need this and that. Nope. Load it right on the trailer and let them go. Because they aren't coming back, we won't take them back. Because they failed to learn how to treat other people. Most people don't know how to treat you unless you're vocal about it. See, each one of us is unique, and each one of us has our own built-in triggers that will set you off, whether it's insecurities, anxiety, what have you. Now, have I had just the opposite happen too, of where I heard a customer out and then, lowered the level by not joining in? Because the worst thing you can do is raise to their occasion. You don't want to have a screaming match in your shop, on your property. It's just not worth it, right? But I have had customers that once they got it off their chest, they were fine. And those cases had nothing to do with us. They had just reached that feverish level of where they couldn't take any more. And we were the icing on the cake, per se. But those are the people that come back and apologize afterwards. And that's when you explain to them, look, I don't want to be treated any differently than you, but that's unacceptable in my shop. I understand that you are having a rough day and this and that, but I can't have customers coming in and acting that way. As a shop owner, you don't want me acting that way, right? If a customer comes in and they say they can't afford to pay the bill, should I go ape crap on them? No. You set the tone in your own shop. You set the tone in your own life of what your boundaries are and what's acceptable and what's not. If somebody does something to you or at you that is unacceptable and you're not vocal about it, it actually can get worse than not acceptable, if that makes any sense. See, people will treat you the way you teach them to treat you. If they don't know that it bothers you, because each one of us is unique, they may continue doing it even at a more feverish pitch because they don't realize that it's triggering something in you that is bothersome, right? And I mean, I don't. My feeling is things that have gone on in the past, leave them in the past, move from this day forward. If you can't change the past, you can't predict the future. So why don't you just concentrate on the here and now? That's what I try to do to keep myself grounded. God he's got a handful, but he does a pretty good job of keeping me grounded and out of harm's way for the most part. In the comments, how do you guys do it? I mean, the last thing you want to do is get into a shouting match with a customer, whether it's over the cost of the build or what was done or this. And a lot of times if you start to see a customer that's starting to go up a little bit and you've got other customers that are at the shop, I pull the person aside, grab their bill, and we take a walk up the road and look at the bill. That way, nobody needs to overhear our conversation. Because if one person is allowed to get away with it, and they find that it works on reducing the bill, hollering a lot, so you just say, all right, cut the slack. The tendency is not everybody, not honest people, but people that look at trying to figure out how to save money, well, that one did it and got away with it, why can't I? And next thing you know, you've got a number of customers trying it to see if they can't get the bill reduced. You see what I'm saying? It's like walking in a landmine, and you're the guy out there, with the poking stick looking for metal underneath the sand or dirt. If your customer is not happy with the bill, is not happy with the service, then you need to bring their temperature down by staying calm, level-headed, and your voice not changing, to say, okay, you've had your say, now here's mine. And I've been guilty of that before in the past too. In my younger years, I can remember I had a Toyota 4Runner, and I bought it used. It had like 70-some thousand miles on it at a dealership. Maybe I said this before, and I asked them, I said, has everything been checked and gone through? And they said yes. And they were selling it as is, where is. Because they didn't want to have to deal with running it through a complete service, and they were going to wholesale it out. So I went down and looked at it. I liked the looks of it. It would fit my needs, so I went ahead and I bought it. And the next day, I went to try to use the four-wheel drive, and I couldn't even turn the locking hubs in. That they were the manual locking hubs that were right on the tires themselves. So I took it back to the dealership, and I said, the lockout hubs, I can't get them to turn. Is there something that you can do? I mean, I don't want to complain, but you said you checked everything. So he said, well, leave the truck and I'll run it through real quick, see if they can't figure that out. Well, I was by myself, so I dropped my truck off, so I just kind of hung out in the parking lot, and I'm watching them. They pull my truck up in. They don't pull any hubs. They aren't doing anything other than trying a pair of pliers. And once they spot me looking up in, they shut the door. I'm sorry, it's not like I'm going to have to pay for it. Even if I did, I was okay with it. But after all this hoopla and spending 3 hours at that dealership, I ended up with a truck with the same issues that I had when I came in. They could not get the four-wheel drive hubs to lock in or lock out. And what actually ended up happening is on the one side would turn partially and then the other side was nothing. And they ended up putting a big set of vice grips on it and turning it, and it's all plastic. And it snapped basically the dogs off from it so that you could turn it in a full circle. And then they said that was good enough. I come back the following day and I lit right into the dealership owner. And he wasn't happy either. He's like, you don't do that to me on my property. Get the F off and take your vehicle with you. Was that the best approach that I could have had? No. But at that point, I was pissed that they weren't even willing to try to fix the issue. I mean, I didn't pay 30, 40 grand for the truck. They had just wholesaled it basically to me just to get it off their lot. They were a Ford dealership and they didn't want a Toyota sitting there. The end result, I end up tearing the hubs off, putting new manual lockouts on it, calling it a day. But that's what I mean by I was not in the right by raising my voice and going after the owner. During those years, I was very full of piss and vinegar, as they say, and pretty vocal. If you did something to me, I was in your face. And if you lied to me like they did at the dealership, I showed up, went right into the office where he was and called him out on it. And I haven't been back since. I used to buy a lot of vehicles there. But he didn't want a customer like me either. Because he didn't make hardly squat on that truck that he sold me. So the idea of putting much into it would put him in the red. I understand that, and I was willing to pay to have the four-wheel drive fixed. Whether it needed grease inside there before they started reefing on it, what have you. But to say it was fixed and have worse shape of where the side that wouldn't turn now turned in a circle and didn't do nothing, and the other side still turning only halfway. The best answer that they could have come out with is, look, Eric, it's going to take a little bit of time. If you want, bring it back tomorrow with somebody, drop it off, and it's going to cost a little bit of money on your part to cover any parts or labor that goes into it. I'd have been okay with that. Not, it's good to go and you're in worse shape than when you brought it in. You set the tone. You decide how you're going to run your business. You set your boundaries on what's acceptable, what's not, and stick to your guns. That's all I can tell you. And that goes in your personal life as well. A lot of people, most people, will not know that they've crossed your boundary unless you let them know. Because that may not be a boundary that they seem as a big deal, but it's a big deal for you. So you have to be vocal with the people around you so that they're at least given a chance to make a wrong a right. And that is, sorry that I didn't realize it and it won't happen again. But if you stay silent, that's kind of saying it's okay. And it's not, right? Put in the comments what you think about this stuff. I mean, I've been in service, since 2006 with this business. Before that, I worked for other companies where I didn't have to worry about so much. But our expectation of how to be treated, you followed the same logic as you had to set your boundaries. And that goes even with your spouse, your kids. When you're raising kids, your major job is being a parent, not their friend, a parent. And a parent is a drag. A parent is setting rules and enforcing them and setting boundaries and not letting the child trod on those boundaries, right? I see so many parents try to be best friends with their kids, and they already have best friends. That's the worst thing you can do, is try to be a best friend of theirs. You're there to keep them safe and out of harm's way, and you can't do that by being a best friend. You're the one that has to set the rules in the house, not some other kids. And the kids should never run the household. They're too immature to understand how to run a household. So why are you allowing them in the first place? Take the control back. And this is the way the house is going to run. More than once I heard, "I hate you, Dad." And my response was always, "But I love you." And this is going to be the way it's going to be. All right, so to finish the saga from yesterday, after braving through shitty storms, per se, I finally made it through till yesterday morning. What I was trying to do was avoid the $2,200 copay of going to the ER, right? I should have gone Saturday or Sunday when my urine was brown and I was severely dehydrated. But I didn't, because I was trying to save the $2,200 copay. So what happened yesterday morning? I'm still got the diarrhea, still got dehydration, but with drinking a lot of fluids, my urine has started to lighten up to a dark yellow. And so I called down to my primary to see if I couldn't get in so that she could at least prescribe something or recommend something that I could take for the diarrhea, and told her I was having problems with my right leg where they did the vein harvest. It was tender to the touch, but it wasn't hot like it was infected or anything. So what did she tell me? "You need to go to the ER right now." And I'm like, "Nicole, I went all weekend, the long holiday weekend, suffering so that I could avoid that." And she's like, "Yeah, Eric, but I can't do what they can do. They need blood work. They need a urine sample. They need to see if you have a blood clot in your leg or what's going on with your leg. And they can get a hold of the cardiologist and find out if certain things are okay to take with the meds that you're on." So off to the ER I went. So I drove down, went in. They called me right in. And I told them, I said, "I feel like I'm wasting your time. This should have been done easily with my primary." And the one nurse said, "So you tried to get in with your primary?" I said, "Yeah." She told me I had to come. If I knew that she was going to say that, I'd have seen you guys on Saturday or Sunday when it was really bad. That was the height of the storm. But I said I braved through till today, which was yesterday, so that I could get some relief from her. But even the nurse was kind of stepped backish when I told her. I said, "It's $2,200 copay to come in here to the ER." She goes, "Wow, that's crazy." I said, "Yeah, it is." "Well, what are you going to do? Your primary says go to the ER, so if your primary is telling you to do it, you got to do it." So they put me on. They end up doing a ultrasound of my groin all the way down to my ankle on my right leg, and come to terms that it must be cellulitis. So they put me on antibiotics for that. And I'm skinny as a rail pretty much. And usually it happens to people that are obese, diabetic, it's a common thing. But for me, no, I mean, I'm all skin and bones to start with. But it is what it is. So are the antibiotics. So for the diarrhea and stuff, they put me on Metamucil, fast acting, where you have little packages and you dump them in the water, stir briskly, and then drink it. I said, well, I already have that at home for my wife to keep her regular. I'm trying to get it so that it stops for a while and gives me a breather. And they reassured me that it would work a charm if I took one when I got home and then one before I went to bed. I should have no problems. I might have got 2 hours sleep last night. Up and down, up in soiled clothes. It's just, I can't make this stuff up. So, a friend of mine, Amos, I'm going to take your advice and try some of your stuff there, because I think they were just pissed that I wasted their time at the ER. I don't know. Maybe I'm pushing over what my feelings are. But I'm going to try the Pepto, stop the Metamucil, and try the Pepto. And I know that they told me to stay away from the aspirin, because I'm already on a daily aspirin. I think it's low dose 81 or something like that, which could affect my heart. But if I can get the crapoling under control, that would be immense. My leg is killing me like crazy, but I can deal with that kind of pain. I can't deal with this being soiled in the middle of the night. The next thing is going and buying a box of adult diapers. You know what they say, where you come into this world in diapers and you're going to leave in this world with diapers on. I don't want to be found dead in my bed where I shit myself with diapers on. So on that note, put in the comments, how do you train people to treat you? Do you speak up, or do you just let people trot all over you and just get pissed inside? I used to do that. That's why I'm asking. So on that note, you guys have a great Wednesday, and we'll catch you here bright and early tomorrow morning for another day of the weekday. On that note, enjoy.